Good evening. My name is Carolyn Schoenberger, and I'm an attorney with the Chicago Legal Clinic, and I'm here to talk tonight with Michael Collins from Irish Community Services.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm happy to have you, and Michael's going to talk to you about what his organization offers and all the great services. But first, I'm going to talk first in English and Spanish about the Chicago Legal Clinic. The Chicago Legal Clinic was founded in 1982 by some recently admitted lawyers, and that was because there were no attorneys, low-cost attorneys or free attorneys in the area around South Chicago. South Chicago used to be a bustling community because of the steel mills, but after the steel mills closed, everyone started losing their houses, losing their businesses, and there was no low-cost or free service to go to. So a local priest contacted his friend. They both had just graduated and were sworn in as new lawyers, and they started the South Chicago Legal Clinic for immigrants, but then they expanded to the Pilsen neighborhood, the Austin neighborhood, and it became the Chicago Legal Clinic. This was in 1982. Now there are offices in Pilsen, which primarily does immigration work, also some guardianship work. The Austin area that does a lot of family law and expungement and sealing of records. Downtown, which does Social Security disability and family law. And there are 2 free advice clinics in the Daly Center dealing with child support and also foreclosures. Finally, there is a free clinic for students at Harold Washington College that I run. I'm also on the faculty at Harold Washington College. So if you have a problem dealing with immigration, domestic violence, Social Security disability, if you need a will, real estates, please call the Chicago Legal Clinic at 773-731-1762, 773-731-1762. Please call between the hours of 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. We also like to send speakers out on a variety of topics. So now I'm going to speak to you in Spanish. Buenas tardes, me llamo Carolina Schoenberger y yo quiero decirle un poco de la Clínica Legal de Chicago. La Clínica Legal de Chicago fue establecida en 1982 por 2 nuevos abogados que querían ayudar a la gente del sur de Chicago. Antes de 1980, había muchas acerías en el sur de Chicago, pero se cerraron las acerías y la gente que trabajaba en las áreas perdieron su trabajo. También los negocios en el sur de Chicago sufrieron por la falta de clientes. En este barrio no había ninguna oficina ofreciendo ayuda legal a bajo costo. Entonces, los 2 abogados establecieron la Clínica Legal de Chicago en un solo cuarto. Pero hoy hay 4 oficinas en los barrios de Chicago, en el sur de Chicago, Pilsen, Austin y en el centro. También hay varias oficinas en las cortes que ofrecen ayuda legal con mantenimiento de los niños, también con foreclosure. Y hay una oficina legal a Harold Washington College que es gratis por los estudiantes y yo soy profesora allá. Si tiene un problema legal como inmigración, violencia doméstica, seguro social por gente incapacitado, si necesita un abogado para dar representación con bienes raíces, llámanos por favor entre las horas de 9 hasta las 5 de la tarde. El número 773-731-1762, 773-731-1762. Yo quería decirle una cosa más. Es triste que ahora estamos en un clima mal. Ten cuidado. Si está detenido por inmigración, es importante que no firme papeles. Muy importante que hace contacto y diga que quería ver un juez, tener la posibilidad de pagar una fianza. Es muy importante que ten cuidado y no firme no renunciar a sus derechos. So before talking to our wonderful guest, I just want to tell people that it is very sad that we live in a hostile environment now for immigrants. If someone is detained, it's very important that they ask for bond hearing, they ask for judge, and they do not sign anything in which they would give up their rights. So again, we've had periods like this before. It will pass. Hopefully it will pass soon. But in the meantime, it's very important that we have different agencies who are there to support immigrants, and that's where I'm going to look at Michael.
Yep, thanks for having me. It was
My
very
pleasure.
interesting to learn about the history of the Chicago Legal Clinic.
Well,
I had never heard that before. Very good.
it was, again, when I remember when it was started, I was not with the organization. It's actually with the State's Attorney's Office at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember when it started, and here it is, and it's very busy.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Irish Community Services. I know there's recently been
Yeah.
a change in name.
There has, exactly.
So tell us what you do and, how wonderful services that you have out there.
Sure. Yeah, you alluded to our name change. We used to be Chicago Irish Immigrant Support, and we decided this year is our 20th year anniversary. That's why I made reference to the history of the CLC. CIIS, or as it's now known as ICS, was founded in 1998 as Chicago Irish Immigrant Support. And we had celebrated our 20th year anniversary, and when we got to planning that, we had decided that this was a great opportunity for sort of a fresh start, a brand new name, and to sort of reinvent ourselves. So we changed our name from Chicago Irish Immigrant Support to Irish Community Services. For the main reason of, I believe we grew out of our other name. Chicago Irish Immigrant Support was a very appropriate time in our foundings because it was, we had very modest foundings by a volunteer board. That got together to assist members of the community with immigration and social services issues. But since then, the 20 years we've progressed to become a full service agency providing comprehensive legal a legal program, a social services program, a pastoral program. We assist with folks claiming Irish citizenship, getting Irish passports, etc. So we felt it was, time for a change and time for a name that kind of reflected the holistic work in which we do.
You don't just support. I mean,
Yep,
that's
exactly.
the thing. You don't just support. So we do have a caller.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Both of these, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, the Chicago Legal Clinic sounds like a wonderful organization, and my parents were immigrants, as most of our parents and grandparents were. I wonder how we can go about supporting the clinic to make sure that your work continues.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the compliment.
Great question.
The support comes in many different ways. If you want to access our website, there's information there to support. There are volunteer opportunities. Just calling in, saying something nice is wonderful too. And I agree. My parents were born here, but my grandfather was Austrian, came at the age of 15, sold shoes, became a doctor. And that's the American dream. But it's very kind
Thank
of
you. I will go to your website.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Exactly, yeah, we provide direct service in many different ways, including social services program, which is mainly geared towards seniors, folks who have immigrated to the United States a long time ago.
What do you do? Do you bring them in? Do you go and visit them?
So a bit of both. We do home visits for folks who need that. We assist them enroll in public benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, these types of things, stamps, food stamps, etc. But also a large portion of our senior program is geared around socialization. So we found that there was, as the wave of Irish immigrants that arrived in the 50s began to get a little bit older, they began to move to the suburbs. And then once they grew a little bit older, self-seclusion became a large issue. The suburbs is not as tight-knit of a community as they were maybe accustomed to when they lived in the city. So we decided that we'd gather folks together every Wednesday for tea, coffee, biscuits, sometimes a bit of music, and some fun.
And also in the suburbs, it's harder to move around.
Yeah,
And-
exactly. Public transportation's not always as good out there as it is in the city.
But you're located at the Irish Heritage Center,
Yep.
which is located on the north side.
Yeah, exactly. So it's located in Mayfair, which surprisingly enough was not a predominantly Irish neighborhood, but we've made that our home, and we've been in the center there since 2005, I believe, and the center has been in existence since around '86. That's the Irish American Heritage Center.
And I have to tell you that is a fabulous gift shop. It has all kinds of items from Ireland, including biscuits and chocolates and clothing and other
Right.
types of things. So again, so you reach out. How do the seniors find you? How do you get in touch with them?
Sure. So a lot of them would be referrals. A lot of them would be involved in the community anyway. Would go to sort of cultural events at the Irish American Heritage Center or down at Gaelic Park, and we'd connect with them that way. Others would be family referrals, friends referrals, these types of things. As I said, a large part of our program is based around socialization. So once we get them in the door once, most of the time they do want to come week after week and visit with their friends, listen to music, and listen to some of the educational programs that we have.
That's great. What other kind of educational programs do you have?
That really varies. I mean, sometimes we've had attorneys come in talk about elder care abuse. We've had presentations on travel, presentations on how to enroll in different benefits. So it really it depends. We do a schedule each quarter, and it depends on what topics pop up during that time of year.
And you have a program that helps people get Irish passports.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about how do you would my husband qualify? His parents were born here. His great grandparents were born in Ireland.
Sure. So, for the example of your husband, he would be eligible for Irish citizenship if his parents had became Irish citizens prior to his birth.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, the way Irish citizenship works is if you are born to somebody from the island of Ireland, that includes Northern Ireland, you're automatically entitled to Irish citizenship. You could actually apply straight for a passport. There's no need to go through a formal citizenship application. If it is your grandparents that are from Ireland, you have to apply through what's called the Foreign Births Registry, which essentially you have to apply to be registered as an Irish citizen. That process takes from 6 to 9 months. It's mainly just a gathering of essential documents declaring your link to Ireland, and that link would be your grandparent. And then after you get your certificate of citizenship, you'd be able to apply for a passport. And then, as I said, you're able to apply through your great-grandparents if your parents had registered on the Foreign Births Registry prior to the date of your birth.
Okay, so you have that service, and
Yep.
and a lot of people come. And what are some of the? I know you have a legal program because we're part of it.
Yeah, exactly. I was just
Okay.
about to talk about that. We partner with the CLC to provide a lot of our legal services. We have a lot of folks calling us up with immigration inquiries. I mean, that was one of the reasons we were founded as an organization. And so what we do is we hold legal clinics 1 to 2 times a month, sometimes in our office on the north side and other times down at Gaelic Park, which is a cultural center down on the south side in Oak Forest. And essentially what we do is we schedule folks in for 30-minute appointments with an immigration attorney. Caroline, you could come and speak to Caroline. She's that immigration attorney every so often. And so folks get an opportunity to get their questions answered for free. We don't charge for our clinics. And then if there's any follow-up, we usually arrange that between the CLC, ICS, and the client. So it just gives folks an opportunity to get their questions answered, to know exactly where they stand, and to get an idea of what next steps need to be taken.
And I think this is so important. It's such a wonderful, it's such a privilege for me to be part of this.
Yeah.
Even though you're all the way on the other side of Chicago.
I know, yeah.
From the Pilsen office. I think or down in Gaelic Park.
Right.
I think it's so important because people can come in and sometimes they're intimidated to go into a lawyer's office and feel more comfortable coming in where maybe they've been before, maybe they haven't been before. But it's a great service that you offer in going out there.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, that goes back to the reason we were founded 20 some odd years ago, is because folks recognize the need for immigration and social services within their own community. So, sometimes people are a little bit more comfortable going to, if they're from Ireland, going to an Irish-based organization. If they're Polish, a lot of those folks might go to a Polish organization. So, I mean, that's part of the reason we exist in the first place, to welcome folks in and to help them with whatever issues they come into us with.
Well, we also work with the Polish American Association that offers wonderful services. One thing I will notice is I've met a lot of people from Ireland,
Yeah.
but also people from other countries.
Yeah.
So you're very welcoming to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. We never turn folks away. If you call our office, you'll get service. We'll be able to register you in for one of our legal clinics. Even if you want to attend one of our senior groups, there's no requirement to be Irish. Actually, our Northside group is becoming a lot more American and Irish American. So whatever service you're interested in at Irish Community Services, we're happy to get you involved, no matter what your origins.
So again, these are great services. In talking to people right now about immigration, what are you hearing? I mean, what are people talking to you about?
Sure. I think we're hearing a lot of the same things that other communities are hearing. There's a sort of a lot of fear. There's a lot of folks not knowing what they should do next. There's always those cases of people who have put off addressing their immigration issue. And are now coming to the realization that it's about time that they do something about it and come in to speak with us and come in to speak with you through one of our clinics. So that's kind of what we're hearing at the moment. But there's been a couple, I would say, positive developments, at least at the city level. The mayor launched the City Key Card just recently, which will give undocumented folks an opportunity, and actually all residents of the city of Chicago, an opportunity to get an ID. So even though there is that fear out there, things are getting better at the local level, at least from what I'm seeing. So
There are a lot of buildings downtown that they want a state-issued ID to get in.
right,
And a couple of them I said, well, what if someone doesn't have a state ID? Well, that's that they can't come in.
yeah,
So the city ID hopefully will break the door down on this problem. And I know you're one of the agencies that's rolling it out.
yeah. We're part of the working group that's working with the city on doing that, in which I think it's an excellent program. I mean, it allows people to access some local benefits, but also just have an ID. I mean, how often are you always asked for an ID? And imagine if you weren't able to produce one. It could be preventing you from accessing certain benefits and et cetera. So I think it's a great program, and we look forward to the official launch, which should be this month or next month.
So again, and people are afraid. And yet
Right.
what we're noticing is that people will start something and then they stop.
Right.
So they may be part way to trying to legalize their status. It drives me absolutely crazy, Michael, when
Yeah.
people say, I did it the right way. Why don't, quote, these people do it the right way?
Yeah.
Sometimes the right way takes a long time, and
Yeah. Well, and the right way is taking even longer. I mean, that's actually, we are getting a higher volume of calls from folks who have actually filled out their paperwork correctly, but the thing is, the processing times on some of these applications, as you know, are taking, sometimes between 12 and 14 months, depending on the office in which it's being processed. So we're getting a lot of calls about that folks are concerned that, maybe something happened with their application because they hadn't heard in so long. So even amongst folks who have an option, there's a bit of fear, that they might not be treated right by the offices and et cetera, or what happened to my application that I submitted 9 months ago. So
perfect case is that if you want to renew your green card, which shows that you're a lawful permanent resident, we have people who applied last May,
yeah,
and they're still waiting, and they call, and we call, and they said, no, we're still on March.
yeah,
And citizenship may take 9 months, and we've had occasion where we will have 3 interviews at the same time on the same day.
wow,
And we've heard of cases where you could have 7 interviews. So again, it's very sad. You people who are trying to do it the right way,
Right.
trying to become a citizen, and we're not even talking about law.
Yeah.
We're just talking about process.
Yeah. Yeah, and going back to in the Irish community, we had a lot of folks come at different times in history and different times in big wave in the 50s, big wave in the 80s. So when you hear folks say that they've done it the right way, laws have changed over times. It might have been a little bit easier to come back in the 50s and in the 80s than it is nowadays. Things are tightening up a little bit, as you said in the very beginning, that it is a bit of a trying time for immigration in the United States right now. So,
And something that used to be so simple, even just doing the work over the last 14 years, what was easier to be done in 2004 under President George W. Bush
Yeah.
became harder under President Obama, and I don't know what to think now under President Trump.
yeah. Yeah, it is amazing how big of an impact the administration has on immigration. I mean, most of the time you wouldn't think that the administration would have so much of an impact on sort of the process of immigration, but they do, yeah.
And it's interesting because there's talk about doing away with the diversity visa, which was, I think, started by Senator Kennedy.
Yeah, started by Senator Kennedy, and it's been expanded a couple times. We get a lot of folks who say they come in on the Morrison or the Donnelly visa. Those were essentially the diversity visa that was opened up for a short period of time for Irish citizens. And truthfully, the diversity visa is really one of the only ways that you could come to the U.S. Without having any sort of previous connection to the country. Each year, I believe there was around 130 Irish citizens who got the diversity visa last year, which is incredibly low. And I mean, if you think about it, it's only 50,000 in total, and that's globally.
I don't know
It's
why
a drop
it's
in the bucket.
become such
So,
a target.
yeah,
You can have bad people do things at any time, and I think most immigrants are too afraid to really step
Yeah.
over the line, but you do have a few.
yeah. It's unfortunate. There's always that way that the one negative news headlines will outweigh the other 10 positive ones. And unfortunately, that's just the way things
Well, I
are
think
working recently.
that we ought to start highlighting the people who are immigrants who have gone on to become doctors and judges and lawyers and accountants and elected to become state officials or senators. I think
Yeah, exactly.
that for every time ICE talks about we arrested this bad guy, we ought to say, yes, but what about these three people who are lawyers? Because I work with a lot of people who are born in other countries, and they've gone on to have great careers and
Right.
give back to the community.
Yeah, and that was one thing. If you were driving around Chicago last year, I'm not even sure if they're still up, but as part of the One Chicago campaign that was launched by, I believe it was the mayor's office about a year ago, that was one of the more positive aspects of that program was that you'd see on the bus stops a face of an immigrant that would say 100% Chicagoan, 100% Irish, or 100% Mexican, 100% Chicagoan. I think that's more the message that we need to get out there, is that even though they were born in a different place, they're very much part of our community.
And I think it's contributed. Again, I'm going to go back to what I was saying, is that my grandfather came here at 15
Yeah.
from Austria and went on to become a doctor.
Right.
In any event, I want to thank you so much for coming. How do we contact you?
Sure. So you can visit our website. Our website is www.irishchicago.org. You could email us at info@irishchicago.org, or you could call our office at 773-282-8445.
And you're located right near Wilson, and
Wilson and Knox, just off the highway there.
and there's a big parking lot.
Yep.
There's a pub and a really, really great gift store.
Yep, exactly. If you come and visit us on Thursday or Friday afternoons, you can go visit the gift store on the way out and the pub before you leave. So,
Sounds great.
yep.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for watching our show. If you have any questions, please follow up 773-731-1762, and please be careful out there. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. See you next month.